Hello everybody, welcome to SUBCULTURE-GATE. I have never ever seen such controversy over a palette in my life. It was hot up in here in the beauty industry. I just sat down here and it was like tennis. Boom, don't like, don't like, don't like, hit you more, bitch, this, that. I was like, ooh. I decided just to sit back and just observe until a bunch of you started asking me, Fumi, are you not going to review the SUBCULTURE palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills? You put me on the spot. And I said to myself, you're an influencer. You are a makeup artist. This is your job. The beautiful industry is not always pretty. Do your job. So here I am. And we are going to swatch, review, talk about, unbox the SUBCULTURE palette with a bunch of makeup tutorials. You asked, I delivered. Hey, I didn't come to play. We're here for a very honest, unbiased review about the SUBCULTURE palette. So let us unbox this baby, shall we? So this is the package that it comes in, the sleeve, so to speak. A SUBCULTURE, Anastasia Beverly Hills. In the back, you've got the details. You also have a little picture of the palette, of what it contains, the colors and henceforth. And it lets you know that the palette was made in USA, but the brush was made in China. So let's pop this hood, yes. So as we open, let me do it this way. Here comes the palette and falls out another slip from Anastasia Beverly Hills, the company giving you details, whatnot. I'm sure it's the ingredients. Yes, it is, as I'm looking at it. And here you have the palette. So it's very much the same as the Modern Renaissance. It's got the same velvet finish as the Modern Renaissance. This is pink, and this is very much like a bluish green. That's what I would call it, like a bluish green. Let's pop the lid. I want to be careful of the brush. I'm just going to flip it around because it's got a mirror, which is great. And then you turn it around, take off the sleeve, and here you have the colors and the brush, which I'm going to take out. Now, I hope your palette comes in a better condition than mine, because I've already used my palette a whole bunch of times. But these are all the colors that are here. And then when you open also the Modern Renaissance, you can have the comparisons. Now, Novina had said that if the Modern Renaissance was your day palette, then your SUBCULTURE was the night palette. She considers it to be grungy and to be the night sister to the Modern Renaissance. I'm going to rename this palette. I think that this is the older brother to the Modern Renaissance, the rebel, the guy that did not go to college. He went to art school. He's got tattoos. He smokes cigarettes. He plays drums. His mother said, honey, you are too loud. You can't play that music in my house. Guess what? He moved out. We love him. We want a piece of him. We can't get enough of him. And he goes to the beat of his own drum. This is what I think of this palette, because it is extremely unique. And with all of this drama, he's just standing by the corner like, this because of me? And he doesn't really care what anybody thinks. He is who he is, the rebel. That is what I consider this palette to be after everything that has come after it. So let's get into some statistics, yeah? It is $42 in America, and it is £41 in England. You can get this on the Sephora website. You can get this at Anastasia Beverly Hills website. You can also get it at Ulta and Cult Beauty. So it's all over the place, easy access, and it is a permanent palette. So don't worry about you trying to get it out now, thinking that it's a limited edition. It is not. For those of you in London, you can get it at Beauty Bay, and that was where I got it. This was not a PR package. I bought it with Ula's money. Yes. What can I tell you? I have issues, I have problems. I am an addict. Ola tried to take me to therapy. The therapy was more expensive than my addiction. So here we are, you loving me and me loving the makeup. What can I say? Guilty as charged. It is a cruelty-free product, but it isn't vegan because it has some certain ingredients in there. So that's just to put it out there for you guys in the know. Each shadow is 0.7 grams and the total gram for this palette is 9.8 grams. And it has 14 shades in this palette. It has 2 duochromes, and the 2 duochromes are cube and electric, and it has a metallic color right here which is called Adorn, and the rest of them are mattes. And I consider all of these to be brand new. Fudge is a repeat name, but it's not a repeat color. There's a single fudge color and it is nothing like this color. So that is why I consider all of these 14 to be very new. Now, from my observation, the pigmentation in this palette is absolutely more intense than the Modern Renaissance. They absolutely are not the same whatsoever. You also have a lot of fallout because this palette has been loosely pressed because pigmentation was key. Novena wanted to make sure that these colors really picked up. And we are going to find out because we are going to go on to the swatches next. So we're going to start with the first top row going from left to right. And this is cube and this is the duochrome color and it swatches on pink. The next one is a matte shade and that is Dawn. The next is Destiny and Destiny is an olive green. Then we have the only metallic in this palette and that is called Adorn. Another matte shade and this is called All Star. Then we have Mercury, and Mercury is very much like a stone color. The final, which is a forest green, and that is Axis. All of these colors were finger swatched, no primer, nothing, just one swatch down the arm. All right, so the next row from the left to the right is Roxy, and that's very much like a salmon color, my absolute favorite in the entire palette. We go next to Electric, and that's the duochrome. It's like a green gold reflex. And then we have Fudge, which is a lovely warm chocolatey brown. Then we have New Wave, and New Wave is very much like Cheetos. It's an orangey yellow. And then we go in with Untamed, and Untamed is a cooler green to Axis. Then we have Edge, is a brighter yellow, sunshine yellow, with the last color being Rowdy, and that is a very rich, the dark chocolate.
It's getting late, but I'm craving ya, and I can't wait till I'm right next to ya. It's not insane, you're so beautiful, I got no shame, cause I'm into ya. Baby, I don't know how you feeling in the mood. Yeah. Cause I want to show, let the night unfold. Drop your clothes down to the floor, only me and you. Wanna get a little crazy, do you wanna get it on tonight? Wanna get a little wasted, going on to the morning light. Wanna get a little crazy, do you wanna get it on tonight? Wanna get a little wasted, going on to the morning light. I got your text, are you down for it? Tell me what's next, I'll see you in a bit. I want a taste, just a little bit. Can't hardly wait to feel your poison kiss. Oh, baby, I don't know how you feeling in the mood. I just want to show, let the night unfold. Drop your clothes down to the floor, only me and you, yeah. Wanna get a little crazy, do you wanna get it on tonight? Wanna get a little wasted, going on to the morning light. Wanna get a little crazy, do you wanna get it on tonight? Wanna get a little wasted, going on to the morning light. Until that morning light, yeah. Wanna get it on tonight? Wanna get a little wasted, going on to the morning light. Until that morning light, do you wanna get it on
going to go into what do I think about this palette. The cube and the electric were very faint. Personally, they are my least favorite because I felt that I just had to dig and they sealed off. If I rubbed my finger over it as I'm doing, it would just seal off. And that's very hard for you to get anything out of any shadow. Once it seals off, now you have to start to dig into it. And that's exactly what I had to do. But I used it for this makeup look. I used it right on the upper tear duct. This was the electric, and I used the cube on the lower tear duct just to give it some jazz. The colors are nice, but you have to dig. Do some colors muddy up? Yes, it does, because they are opposite in the spectrum of the color wheel. Some colors are complementary to each other, like the yellow and the brown, like the orange and the green, like the beige and the tan. They complement each other. Some colors don't complement each other on the color wheel. And because they are opposite on the color wheel, if you mix them together, it will turn gray. This is an issue with this palette. Did it have a lot of fallout? Yes, it did. ROXY had a lot of fallout. ROXY happens to be the favorite color for me in this palette. I love pigments. I use a lot of MAC pigments, and some of you that have followed me for a long time, you will know how much I love red, and I have been wearing red eyeshadow before I started YouTube. The only true red I could find that was fabulous, that blue gorgeous red, was MAC, called Simply Red. I have an episode where I did a tutorial using this pigment, so it's not an issue for me. If I can get that color payoff, I'm right up there. I am addicted to pigments. I also found out that you really have to go in with a super duper light hand. The lightest hand ever. You tap in just a touch, and then you go in and you can build from there. Doing that, I realized that it went on smoothly. Not a problem at all. If I use my MAC Painterly Pot groundwork as my base, the colors went on smoothly. So me personally, I do not think that Norvina made a mistake. I think that this was the way she wanted the palette to be, and that is what we got. Let me tell you something about the beauty industry. When you are creating a palette, certain colors in the palette are unique and they're going to have their own certain ingredient. Overall, once the palette is approved, the colors are approved from Norvina, from the factory, let's say, it is now called the standard. What is the standard? That standard is what has been approved, and then they go into production. If they have to go back, they go back to the standard. The standard being the original recipe ingredient that they made the first time around. That is why if you go back for whatever makeup, it is always the same as you bought it the first time. It's like a cake. You have to know the ingredient, and once you have it down to a science, that becomes your standard. And with that standard is what you make all other cakes. Does that make sense? This is what it takes. It's a lot of research. It's a lot of work. There are a few mistakes to be made, even though there are. But the bigger picture is that if this is completely loose where it's all crumbling out, it's deliberate. Why is it deliberate? Because perhaps there's another reason where she said, you know what, that will be collateral damage because this is what I want at the end of the road, which is maximum pigment. And we got that. Guys, I love this palette. It is so crazy. And this is why I wanted to stay away from the outside noise. And I'm going to explain why. I love the colors. The colors are so very unique. This is a night palette. You can wear it during the day too, and it can also go into fall. I understand the situation about the pigmentation. It falls all over the place, on your hands, on your clothes, all over. My advice to you, if you're going to use this palette and you're not comfortable, do your eyes first and then do the rest of your face, or add powder on the tops of your cheeks right underneath your eyes so that you can sweep the excess away. When you are applying this eyeshadow, tilt your head to the side so that you can get maximum excess off, so that it's not a big issue for you when you try to take the residue off. The pigmentation is fantastic for a dark-skinned girl like me, which I don't usually get, and that is why I stick with Juvia's Please 24/7, because nobody does it for women of color like Juvia's Please. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the color wheel is not an issue for me, but I'm educated in the beauty industry where I can understand what color goes where. Because I love this palette, I did 4 separate makeup looks for you guys to show you in different variations of how I used every single shadow in this palette. I feel that the only proof of the pudding is in the eating. If I'm going to back up something, I have to show why. Having said that, Ula?
Yes or no?
You know what has happened? Ula's becoming a brother in more ways than one. He has now started following the Shade Room on Instagram, and he's coming out with all kinds of expressions. But Ula, can you please, I'm going to ask you one more time. Ula, darling.
Is it F.D.V approved?
I have to say no. I cannot approve it for you guys, because it is not about the palette in this case. It is about your knowledge and your technique in how you're going to use this palette. It is approved for me. I love it. I can use it. But would I buy this palette for my 16-year-old niece that is being introduced to makeup? Absolutely not. The girl will come in the door and she will look like she's been in a fight. She will not understand what happened to her, and it's not going to come out anything like what I have on right now. So I cannot approve it for you guys. I can only approve it for those that understand the color wheel, because that will explain why some colors don't go together and it is muddy. I can only approve it for those who have a light hand to understand how lightly you apply these shadows so that you can gradually build with them. I can approve it for them. I can only approve it for those that understand and don't feel intimidated by the fallout. You have to tap onto the shadow. This was a bomb palette. The issue here was Norvina should have introduced this palette as a soft pressed palette, as a baddie palette, as the grungy palette, as palette that has frenemies. Can you imagine the advertising for this if they had promoted this palette as so? But what happened was that ABH promoted this palette like the modern Renaissance. It's like eating rice, like Ula enjoys rice. But then I pump up the pepper and I don't let him know that there's pepper in the rice. His face is going to go red, he's going to react. We did not know. They did not tell us. They didn't tell anybody that this was the issue with the palette. So what happened is that those that like the palette don't have those kind of issues because they're educated or they are knowledgeable about how the palette works. The great majority did not know. And because of that, it was a fail. Is it a fail? No, it's not. It's a bomb palette. It's a fabulous palette. It is a standalone palette. Norvina, kudos to you for your creativity and originality. Because when I tell you I love ROXY, I love ROXY. And Axis is so green, it's so pigmented, it's so fabulous, it's so rich, it's a forest green. There was no need for a black up in here because this was beyond and fabulous. Fudge, lovely transition color. The colors were great. You just didn't educate us. You just didn't tell us. You did not market this palette like no other palette that has come out. Buy this for your frenemy, for the shaders. This palette gave me shade and I loved it, but I understood it. And that is why I have to not approve it, because I don't know how light-handed, heavy-handed you are. I don't know certain things about how you feel about loose pigment, pressed pigment, and let's go down to about 10% that understand undertones, color tones, color wheels. That's too much. We just want to buy a palette and we want to have fun. So I hope you enjoyed my review, my loves. Of course, leave all of your comments down below, and I will see you in the next episode. SUBCULTURE-GATE, case closed. I'll see you soon. Lots of love and kisses, guys. Thank you. Bye.